fashions and shoes and my jacket and like I love Buffy, do not get me wrong, but there's a
that's
lot
not
of
the
that going on. And
problem
that's
with the movie.
why are you cutting me off? Why are you cutting me off? That's rude.
Sorry.
Man.
Sorry. Welcome to Hey, did you ever see that movie? I'm your host, Des, and as always, I'm joined by my spunky little co-host, Lynn.
What? Like it's hard?
Okay. And joining us again, the podcaster with the degree in terror, Tony. Sorry.
Whoa.
Hey, how's it going?
Your little fucking opening threw me for a loop. And last but not least, the podcaster with a degree in rom-coms, Katie. Okay, tonight we will be discussing the 2001 comedy romance Legally Blonde, written by Amanda Brown, directed by Robert Lukatic, starring Reese Witherspoon, Luke Wilson, Selma Blair, and Matthew Davis. As always, this podcast will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it, then come back and listen to the podcast. And people, if you are listening on YouTube specifically, as always, I ask, stop the podcast, go hit like, hit subscribe, and make a comment. It really helps push us up in the algorithm. Okay, let's do some opening thoughts on this one. I will get us started. So I was sure that I had seen this movie before because I'm a huge rom-com guy, love Reese Witherspoon, love the Wilson brothers. I've never seen this movie before. I couldn't believe it when I put on. I also realized I was watching a frightening stalker movie, which I was not expecting, and it concludes with a fever dream, like a first year law school fever dream. It's insane. Delyn, had you seen the movie before preparing for the podcast?
I had seen it before, yes. To be honest, I remembered liking it more than I liked it on this rewatch, but I had seen it and I remembered most of it.
Okay. And Tony, I know you've seen this millions of times.
I have never seen this movie. I own it. Somewhere in this house it lives, it resides. I couldn't find it. I had to rent it, which made this even more painful once it was over going, fuck, I think it was more, could have spent that on like some gummies or something like that.
Oh, shit.
But it's just, I've not seen it. It wasn't terrible. I tended to not go to these movies, but Katie loves these movies, and she was so excited to be part of this podcast because, oh my god, Legally Blonde with Reese, oh my god, I love it. I'll let her take it from there because I don't want to crush her dreams just yet.
Dude, this is coming from the guy who hated brain scan and came in like fucking seething and like lethally angry. And
well, that's because it was his wheelhouse. It was somebody who decided to do a shitty job in his wheelhouse. This is not his wheelhouse, so he's more forgiving.
Okay. I expect nothing from romantic comedies, and I got exactly what I expected.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Katie, had you seen it before preparing for the podcast?
I have seen this movie so many times. Okay. Not in a long time, but I did see it when it first came out, and then I watched it more in college. I thought I owned it. I think it was maybe I did, maybe I got rid of it, but yeah, I've definitely
smart choice.
Oh, stop it.
No, listen, this is my wheelhouse too. I mean, Notting Hill, Clueless. I mean, you name it. I've seen it. All the Ashton Kutcher movies, all of them. This is my wheelhouse. I've never seen this. And wow. Wow. Okay, let's do some facts on this one. So I do have 3 facts. Selma Blair almost didn't score the role of Vivian. It was originally offered to Chloe Savigny.
You are the worst with me.
I know.
Chloe Savigny.
I wasn't that far off.
Savigny?
She turned down the part to do the 2002 thriller Demon Lover. Tony, Have you ever seen it?
She did?
That's what it said in my notes.
All right, I didn't know she was in that, but okay.
Okay, the role of Elle Woods almost went to Christina Applegate. She turned
Oh.
down the part because she wasn't sure she wanted to play another stereotypical blonde character like her role on Fox's Married with Children. So
I
she
don't think she
turned it
could pull it
down.
off.
Yeah, and she actually had some other kind of like not so great comments about the role and the movie. Number three, Matthew Davis said he'd had a big crush on Reese Witherspoon since he was 15 years old. He had such a crush that he acted like a bumbling idiot around her on the set, so much so that the Legally Blonde producers pulled him aside to ask him if he was okay. He eventually told Reese Witherspoon about his crush, and she said, "Well, that's sweet. Let's work on the scene." So
Ooh.
yeah, and apparently this book was written before the movie. The author was having trouble getting it published, and you would think that once the movie got picked up and they were going to put it out, that they would just say, "All right, let's just publish this book." I mean, maybe we'll get some sales just off people that like the movie. Nope. Even though the movie got made, they still did not want to publish this book. So she did eventually get it published, but it was pulling teeth for sure. Tony, do you have any facts on this?
I don't. I looked some stuff up, but nothing was. I hate to say, like, there's really nothing interesting about this movie.
No.
All the facts were just basically like, like, oh, well, the production was good. There was no drama with it.
I
Like,
found this movie fascinating, but just not in a good way.
I just there was no like major catfights. There was no like major drama. Like no one was a diva. It was just like temperament. Like oh, yeah, that's good. All right. It's like it literally just it was how the movie was. It just kind of went through. Unless I'm missing something when I did my research.
Yeah. And Katie, do you got any facts on this besides that you love it?
I do not have any facts on this movie. It's just fun. It's a fun movie. I mean, what you see is what you get with this movie. It's not anything it's not groundbreaking. It's not the best rom-com that's out there, but I think it's fun. I like it. So.
All right, let's do the box office. With a box office budget of $18 million and a box office return of $141.8 million, this movie was a monster success for the studio. They were super psyched. Okay, let me give you a little synopsis. Elle Woods, a fashionable sorority queen, is dumped by her boyfriend. She decides to follow him to law school. That's an understatement. While she is there, she figures out that there is more to her than just looks. Wow. That was actually deeper than the movie.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we're off to a bumpy start. Dylan, let's get this thing started.
All right, let's get into it. Elle Woods is a senior at CULA, which is a large college in Southern California. She's the president of her sorority, Delta Nu, and the entire house is abuzz because she is sure that her boyfriend, Warner, is going to propose to her tonight. After a mini montage of her getting ready over the opening credits, she goes shopping with her two best friends. While maybe not the smartest of girls, they are supportive. The saleswoman tries to take advantage of Elle by offering her an older sales dress for full price, and Elle quickly schools her that she knows what the dress is, what it's made of, how it's made, and that it's been there for almost a year. Later at dinner, Warner explains that he needs to get serious with his life, and instead of proposing, he dumps Elle. He's heading to Harvard Law School and would like to be a senator, and he needs a serious woman as his partner, and he doesn't think that she is it. So these opening scenes, it's so so early 2000s, like. What is this 2001? I think it's so early 2000s. It's Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Just if you take all the vampire slaying out of it, it's like all the fashions and all that stuff. And I hated her friends. I'm sorry. I know that they help move certain parts of the plot along, but I don't know. I could have done without them. You could have removed them and put other interesting things into the movie instead.
Yeah. That's my thought. So this opening scene is freaking crazy. Like when this thing opens up, I'm just like, I don't even know what I'm watching, right? Elle's little clique feels like these aren't even real people. These characters feel like something out of Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Like in the morning when Pee-wee's getting ready for breakfast and his little dog comes in, I feel like I'm watching a spinoff of that, right? And this scene of all her girlfriends lined up to see her off on her date. This is like fucking an Outer Limits musical. Like, I didn't even know what I was watching. I'm like, what is this? That they're like lined up like it was nuts. The breakup scene. This is where they're setting up Warner to be the bad guy, right? I saw this completely differently. He has every right to break up with Elle if he's not feeling it. Anybody has any right to break up with anybody if they're not feeling it. It's part of being in a relationship. He's actually being a good guy. He's not going to lead her on. He's not going to cheat on her. He's taking her out to dinner and he's saying, look, I'm going away to college. I'm starting my new life and I just don't see you being part of it. And that's fair. And honestly, she is a freaking woman child. She's the kind of woman that runs around with a little heart notepad and a fuzzy pen. I mean, the fuck no, she can't be part of this guy's life if he's going to be a congressman and go to fucking Harvard. I don't blame him, right? So by her completely unhinged reaction to him breaking it off in the restaurant, I get why he took her to a public place. He took her to a public place because he's fucking afraid of her. He knew if he told her this in private, she would go nuclear because she already went nuclear in public. It's insane. And this is why he can't be with her. She's insane. And then our leading lady swallows her pride. This is Elle. She's the big champion woman of the movie. She swallows her pride and gets in this guy's car to save her shoes. What a hot fucking mess.
Oh.
Jesus.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
All right.
Katie's about to just log off.
Let me save you.
Tony, go.
Let me save you. I am about to, I think the door's locked. Okay. So this is coming from someone who married someone who went to school for fashion. The same degree that Ellie went to.
Oh, no.
Someone who has a gold sparkly pen and a special notebook for when she was getting married. I'm not going to write in this until I'm getting ready to get married. That's when the notebook got broken out and finally used.
No. Actually, let me correct that fact.
Okay,
as we're fact-checking here, Anthony. Okay. You bought me that Sleeping Beauty book, and you said you should use it for when we get married. Okay.
That's a big fact. That's a big fact.
No, it's a fact. But you know what? When I actually at one point, Nick was like, "Hey, Dad, can I draw something? Yeah, let me grab a piece of paper." I went for the book. You would have thought I slapped a child. You would have thought I kicked the dog. That's the special notebook
of the book in Sleeping Beauty. I can't just tear a page out of that.
So my point is, a lot of this movie I treaded very lightly on while we were watching it because I saw a lot of familiarity with the interest and the logic that Elle had. Because as soon as she's like, "You're gonna come on, get in the car. You're gonna ruin your shoes." I understand that logic because I have to think that way sometimes. Because you don't understand what I'm wearing. You don't understand am I wrong? Have we had this conversation? She's nodding for those who can't see it. Okay.
Absolutely.
So you're 100% right. She's insane. I kept waiting for there's going to be somebody in a sorority who hates her because she's too perfect. And I kept waiting for the bad person to show up to her foil. And it never came because everyone loves her. That was what was so saccharinely sweet about this movie is that literally everyone who met her loved her in her world.
Yeah.
And when she stepped out of her world, the real world slapped her in the face like Barbie. We'll get into the Barbie comparisons later. That's a whole other different conversation.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
But it was amazing that the intro, you're right. They set him up to be a bad guy, and he's not a bad guy. The last person in cinematic history like this kind of movie who broke up with his girlfriend because we're going away to school, we really shouldn't be together, was the guy who broke up with Jennifer Love Hewitt and Can't Hardly Wait. And look how that fucking turned out.
Yeah.
You don't go well. You always stay with the girl until you graduate. Just be do it after graduation. Simple as that.
I mean, for me, Elle is the antagonist in this movie. She has to be seen as the antagonist, and Vivian is the hero. She's the sweetheart. She's the sweetheart. All right, Katie, go.
Let Katie talk.
Talk about the beginning of this movie.
No. So, okay, you have to understand, all right? If you're a fashion major, obviously you're going to save your shoes before some guy that just dumped you and made a fool out of you in a restaurant. Like I would make the same decision. if Tony took me to a restaurant to break up with me and I had gone out and spent a ton of money on an outfit and dressed to the nines and had my shoes on and then had to walk home in them, bust up my feet, bust up my shoes. And he's like, you're going to ruin your shoes. Like, yeah, I'm not ruining my shoes to walk home because you screwed up. So take the ride.
But why did he screw up? What did he screw up?
You really shouldn't break up with somebody in a public place.
What if you're fearing for your life?
What if they're a nut job that screams in restaurants?
Not a nut job. She's just a fashion major.
Wait.
Harmless.
Yeah, she's
like
harmless.
A theater kid.
Yeah, she drove 3,000 miles across the country to stalk her boyfriend and her new fiance. She's totally normal.
Some people would see that as a romantic gesture.
Oh, God.
Just throwing it out there.
Can I join your study group? Okay, Fatal Attraction.
That's the only thing I didn't like. Well, there were a couple things I was kind of like, we don't need this in this
Can
movie.
I come to your party dressed as a Playboy bunny?
But what's her face? Selma Blair. Vivian in this movie, she is pretty nasty to her though. Like she knows the one thing she wants is her fiance. So what does she do? She's putting her ring out. She's making talking crap about her behind her back. She is like setting her up to be embarrassed. She is kind of every single at that time in your life when you're just thinking you've started to figure yourself out. She is that bully that is making it miserable for you.
Because she wants her to leave with good reason. She is there to steal her fiancé from her. She is a stalker that came across the country to destroy her life.
But up until their dinner, she obviously thought they were in love. He said he loved her. He said he was going to be with her forever. He said, I'll always love you. All those things that all you guys say.
I never said that.
Now we're going all you.
I never said that.
Fall in love with you. And then when you boys decide that you've had enough and you need to start and get serious. And he wanted the Jackie, not a Marilyn. And I respect that he knows what he wants for that. But I don't think that cutting it just like that and then getting engaged so quickly after.
So how would you say he would do it?
But here's the problem though. She lives in a fucking dorm house. These are sorority kids. Like, how serious can it be?
I mean, who's in the sorority anyway?
This is college.
But everybody thinks that's serious in college. At least in the early 2000s they did. Like, everybody thinks it was serious in college. It's very rare. Like,
yeah, when you're that age, it's life and death.
Absolutely.
Like we're older now and we're a little bit more mature, but only by a little. And obviously we don't think everything is life and death these days. You figure, I'm going to move on and do something else. But yeah, it's back then when we were that age, like a boyfriend broke up with you. It was like the end of the world. So
we're gonna get into all these dynamics between these characters. It's very interesting. I thought Vivian was very sweet. I thought there were times when she was actually very nice to Ellen. She could have gone crazy. Like, can I join your study group? She says, no, we're full. What she should have said was, you get the fuck away from me and my fucking fiance. Like, go back to California, you wacko. You whack job. You following us around? Like, yeah.
Let's get it back on track.
Let's do it.
Elle is devastated and goes back to her sorority where she locks herself in her room for a week. In that time, she decides to start studying and get into Harvard Law herself and prove to Warner that she can be serious too. Elle's best friends are supportive, but can't understand why Elle would want to do this. Skipping out on parties and having fun, she buckles down and takes her LSATs and gets the score she needs to apply. She sends Harvard a video essay of herself in which we see her in several tight-fitting dresses and bikinis. The people on the admittance committee are so impressed by her assets that they decide to admit her. This felt a little yucky.
A lot yucky.
Looking back at it now. Like, at the time, I thought it was funny, but it felt a little like she's almost self-exploitive. But again, I'm looking at it through a past eye 20 plus years later, 23 years later. So I kind of give it a little bit of a pass, but I was just like, oh no, I forgot about this.
Yeah.
I felt the same way. When I watched it, like when we saw that scene, I was like, oh, I don't really think I like that scene now.
Yeah.
Like, back in the day, I thought it was funny, but like now I'm like, that's a little much right
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah.
There's a lot of scenes like that. Like, he knows fashion. He must be gay. You know, like, oh, sure. Everybody that knows what a Versace bag is gay, right? Of course. Um, so when when Elle is in the salon and she decides she's going to become a lawyer because she sees fucking Warner's Brothers picture in a fucking magazine. Oh God, the facial expression she starts making and the lines Reese Witherspoon is given to read at this moment, she's like the robot lady in fucking When Mars Attacks. Like, it's so weird. She is like a moron at this moment. I will become a lawyer and win him back. I mean, I'm like, they're trying to sell Ellie as this leader to her friends and this savvy, ultra intelligent woman. But I'm getting like shallow rich kid vibes here with like no identity of her own and huge daddy issues. And these daddy issues, they're gonna send her 3,000 miles away to stalk her boyfriend and his new fiance, and it's like just super weird. Um, so then we find that she takes this LSTAT test and she scores a 179 out of a 180. And they don't explain this, but a 180 is perfect. So she's 1 point off scoring a perfect score, which is almost impossible. Especially no offense from a fashion major. Then we get this
180. I'll tell you that right now.
But she studied. She studied for 2 weeks. Come on, of course.
Oh, she studied for 4 days. It was amazing with her little Barbie thing. Then we get this bizarre musical when she announces her passing score. All her mindless followers / friends, they literally lose their minds and carry her around on their shoulders like she just pitched a no-no in Game 7 of the World Series. It is insane. And just like that, she's officially moving to California. Yeah,
No,
there's nothing
Boston.
weird about that.
Boston.
Yeah, from California to Boston.
Yeah.
Nothing strange about that. Tony, what do you got?
Oh my God, all of it, just all of it. It's all dumb. It's the it's just every stereotypical thing that reason why I don't watch these movies. Oh, she got broken up with. She locks herself away. She eats bonbons, literally eating bonbons, throwing food at the TV at any sad part of the TV show. Oh, I know. Yeah. Friends come in, try to cheer her up. Of course, you get the stupid one who's the blonde, and you get the brunette. It's literally fucking cookie cutter. It's almost every Hallmark movie is the same, but every romantic comedy has the same characters, the same story, the same. It's like hit the beat. And I said that as we were watching. I'm like, oh, this is the part where we get the montage where we're studying. This is the part where she's going to pass. It's like all of it was there, and it just they hit the notes, and it's like, all right, and none of it offended me, but it was just like I wanted more of it because the bitch of it is the character she was in Election because she did Election before this.
Oh, so good.
That's the
so
fucking
good.
character I wanted. I wanted her to transform into her, and
Tracy
hoping like
Flick.
she would become but she didn't. She just stayed dumb with some really well-timed points, and it bummed me out.
Tracy Fleck.
Oh my God, so fucking. That movie is so good. And don't even get me started on her in Freeway, because her in Freeway with Kiefer Sutherland, fucking amazing. She was a badass. And it's like, she has it in her. And after watching, what's the show, Big Little Lies? I actually really fucking loved her. Like, she's totally got away from the Legally Blonde, which is what she really was known for a good part of the decade. And it bummed me out because I actually appreciate her as an actress, but I couldn't stand this fucking movie. I started getting, like, by the end of it, I was like, ugh. Go ahead, Katie.
So, let me ask you something then. There's literally a movie that we're not going to get into when I say the name of it, Tony, called Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, here we go.
About
all right.
how cookie cutter horror movies are.
Yeah.
Legit.
Yeah.
And every single movie that movie makes fun of, you love those movies.
100%.
And you're like, it's a fun movie. Don't read too much into it. And I'm like, it makes no sense. None of this makes any sense.
Because you don't know the movie as it's parroting.
But it's not a horror movie. We have to read into it.
All right. The difference between these two is that this movie is the movie they're making fun of. They're not making fun of. There's no meta. There's no eye wink. Cabin in the Woods was a complete eye wink. It was a nod to those movies. It made fun of those movies that came before.
You're missing my point.
I don't think so. I think you're not making it well.
Movie. all movies are cookie cutters. If you want to go into that route, every movie's a cookie cutter movie. There's very few original things anymore. We're in like the world of sequels these days, and
Right. And
prequels, and everything takes the same story.
which is why when you go and think, oh, I want to watch a slasher, you think I want to watch an 80s slasher, because you're 100% right. Here's the killer. Here's the tragedy that made the killer. Here's the final girl. They've become cookie cutter, which is why when you get a Scream, when you get a Cabin in the Woods, when you get ones that stand out, they mean so much more, and why I get off on them and why I can't stop talking about them. This one is a cookie cutter fucking romantic comedy.
Dude, it's worse than that. It's worse than the cookie cutter, because like you look at a movie like Clueless, you know, Cher is surrounded by these other deep characters. And I mean, when I say deep, I'm talking like not deep. I'm just talking, these feel like real people, and this is a real world. Even though it's like this goofy teen pink poof movie, at least it's like kind of set in reality, and these people have some depth. This movie, she has no surrounding cast, no characters propping her up. The storytelling, the writing is a fucking fever dream. It doesn't know what it wants to be.
Luke Wilson is the
It's
closest
bad.
thing to reality.
And I said that
Yeah.
to Delyn on the drive home. I said he is the only thing in this movie that works.
Yeah, everybody else is a
What
caricature
about
of
Jennifer
what they thought.
Coolidge? She's hysterical in this movie.
I do
They
love her in this.
wasted her. She
Yes.
looks like she looks like she's got a fucking head injury 95% of the time because she's just staring
Yep.
with her trademark smile.
Yep.
She has no witty comeback. She came from Stifler's mom right before this, which was a
Yes.
fucking scene-stealing character, and they let her sit there and look dumb, which is
Yes,
what they
the
wanted that character.
characters-
They wasted her.
They're thin. Every character's thin. You get that girl from that movie Waiting with Ryan Reynolds. She's fucking amazing in Waiting. You know, yeah, just what you need. Another fucking piece of cake. Like
Love
she's
that
just,
movie.
and she's insane in that movie. They put her in this movie, and she doesn't have a line.
Yeah.
She's just nothing. Yeah, it's crazy. Anything else? I just do want to point out too that Elle is eating her bonbons and watching love movies. She's also staring at a picture of Warner with these heavy stalker energy vibes going while she's contemplating her next move, which is going to be terrifying.
Or, heartbreak. It works.
No. Yeah. Okay. So you're at your new college. All right. We'll get to it. Keep it going.
Okay. Arriving at Harvard, Elle is completely out of her element. She moves into her dorm, and with everyone staring, when she checks in with the student services, she gets a reality check that there is no social calendar of party events. She's put in a small group of people to introduce herself, and while proud of what she's accomplished, everyone else seems unimpressed and derisive. She attends her first class and is unprepared for the lesson they're supposed to have done. The instructor of the class, Professor Elspeth Stromwell, asks one of the other students named Vivian whether or not Elle should be tossed out, and Vivian says yes. Elle leaves and runs into an older student, Emmett, and he gives her some tips on how to deal with the professors. Warner appears, and though Elle is happy to see him, it is short-lived as Vivian arrives, and it's revealed that over the summer, Warner and Vivian got engaged. Elle is despondent and causes a fender bender accident in an attempt to get into a nail salon, where she meets Paulette, an older woman who is down on her luck in love as well. Later in the movie, she will pretend to be an attorney to trick Paulette's former boyfriend into giving her dog back. Probably the best part of the movie. Elle does her best to fit in, including coming to study groups with snacks, and despite being told they don't want her there, she also comes to a costume party. It turns out the party was not a costume party, and she's left feeling the fool. Warner is friendly to her, but after a jib about her not being smart, she realizes she will never be good enough for him and decides to focus her attention on her studies, if just to prove him wrong. In one of her classes, the instructor, Professor Callahan, is very impressed with her abilities and asks her to help out with a murder trial. The only problem is that Warner and Vivian will be there too. Interestingly enough, Emmett is also there. He's not a student, but a plant Callahan plays to learn about the current batch of students. So I covered a lot of ground there, and I apologize for that. I know Des is going to bring up the fact that Elle almost caused a serious accident because she can't drive.
She did cause a serious accident because she was in a stalker rage. But we'll get to it. Yeah. So once they get to Harvard here, right? Elle gets out of the car, and every student on campus, like at the same time, like the movie fucking Invasion of the Body Snatchers, stops and focuses on Elle. And they're mesmerized by this girl, and they all have to scream out in unison and say things. Come on, man. This is Boston. This is Harvard. These are the brightest young minds in the country. They don't give a fuck. This girl's going to get out of their car, and they're going to be like, So what?
Move your fucking car. No one parks here.
This is, move your fucking car. Exactly. This is like part of this giant Elle fever dream where she's the most important thing in the world. Oh my God. Yeah, it's nuts. And then Elle puts on this bizarre librarian outfit, right? And she sets off to begin disrupting poor Warner's fucking super expensive education. And I want to ask all of you this. Imagine how you would feel. Imagine how horrifying it would be. You broke up with this person back in California. You've gone off to fucking California. I mean, off to Boston. You think you're starting your new life, and this person is standing in front of you in the hallway of your fucking college and is telling you, I go to school here too now. You put some Wes Craven music over this and it's like chilling. It's fucking chilling. And I felt terrible for fucking Warner. He's got a major problem now. Like, how are you going to focus on what you need to do with this problem? And it is a problem. And when and then they get into this class that everybody takes out their Apple fucking like ancient laptops, right? Like they're all prepared for this class. Not Elle. She pulls out a little heart notepad with a fuzzy pen to take notes. And this is where I almost quit on this movie because no one is this fucking stupid, especially someone who just scored a 179 out of 180 on the fucking LCAT. It just doesn't happen. It is, they're confusing me with this character. They're trying to tell me she's smart, but she's coming off as dumb. They're trying to say she's strong, but she's coming off as weak. It's just bad writing. Vivian and Warner have every right to reconnect. I mean, Elle, she's the summer fling. She was the in-between girl. Stop. Let them
fling. That's a little disingenuous.
She's the in-between girl. He had a deep thing with Vivian before they broke up. He went to college.
They dated in prep school, so that's like a high school date.
And then Elle was the one he took ecstasy with and partied, and then he wanted to get his life together, and he went back to freaking Vivian.
I have a bit of a problem with you making Warner out to be this great guy. Now, don't get me wrong. I do agree that Elle took this too far. She behaved poorly. She made some fucking bad moves. But I got to be honest with you, I've done stupid shit like that, trying to get a boy's attention.
And then when she tries to join their study group, this is hard to watch now.
I totally agree.
And then shows up at the party dressed as a fucking Playboy bunny to obviously try to seduce freaking Warner. This is why she hates him.
It's so on brand for that time, though.
Like, that was Playboy was at the height then.
Playboy was at its height back then. Like when I was, this is like, I'm gonna like,
go ahead, say
sorry
it.
for all of this. I was in college, like not too far after this movie. Okay. Like freshman year of college was 2006 from 2005. So, Playboy was such a thing. If you weren't a Playboy bunny, a sexy devil, a sexy animal, for Halloween from 2000 to 2010, you were nothing. There was no nothing.
Yeah, you were invisible.
Well, no, that's the outfit's fine. You have to put it in context, though. She's there to steal him back.
But this is so on brand for somebody who's in California, who's in fashion. Now, I never was a Playboy bunny, but I had my share of costumes that I wore.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's kind of, we all have, so it's like, you have to kind of think like, okay, it's college. She's going to a party. She was told it was a costume party by the snotty fiance. So now the fiance knew she's going to look stupid by making her do this. So she's the bully for making Elle do it.
Elle's the bully for forcing herself into this girl's social life and trying to break them up.
Yes, she's trying to break them up. I don't think that I don't think Warner is completely like scot-free in this whole thing.
He's calling Vivian Pooh Bear, and that's literally what he was calling Elle, and that's hurtful. That's hurtful.
And not for nothing, he also gets very handsy with her when she's in that bunny costume. Like the hands go up and down the side, and he starts touching her hips. Like he gets very handsy with her.
So here's the reality. If Delyn is going to college and she is Vivian, right? And this girl shows up to break Delyn and her fiance up, and let's say Katie is Delyn's friend. They're like, that girl's a fucking hoe. Fuck her. Let's tell her this is a fucking costume party. Fuck that girl. And she was trying to join my study group. Can you believe that? Oh, that chick's a fucking dude. Come on. You know it's true. This girl is Ralph Macchio, Karate Kid. He rolls into town with a fucking attitude, starts stealing guys' girlfriends. He deserved to get his ass kicked, and so does she.
Damn. I'm glad you took the bullet on that one, dude. We kind of jumped over. The one character I love in this movie is the guy who has the PhD and the masters, the geek.
Yeah,
I fucking love
great.
him.
Oh, yes. What's his name?
I can't remember, but man, when he's on screen, I'm waiting for him to just do something. Like he was awesome in every scene he was in, and they did not give him enough to do.
Yeah. You know who he was? He could have been that character from Hot Tub Time Machine. The short, funny one, the younger guy. Yeah. Like they should have written him. That's my problem with this movie was the writing was very thin. No one got good lines. These characters didn't have any dimension. And the other one thing I want to just mention about the Playboy Bunny outfit is she is trying to ditch this like kind of ditzy fashion thing to show him I'm all grown up. I can be your Jackie. I can be a lawyer. And then she dresses like that to the party. And it was just like, it just was counterintuitive to the way this guy was writing the script. Katie, you have something to say.
There's also this inner thing with her. And you see it throughout the movie of her trying to fight who she is to be something she's not for this guy, which as a girl, everybody tries at that age to be something they're not, to get someone they're attracted to be with them. Everyone does it at least once in their life that they have this, I need to be this type of person. So the person I'm in love with will want to be with me.
But then they get mad when we call them chameleons. Like you can't, do both ways.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is girls have to learn that. And this is the age they learn it at. This is the age that you learn. You have to just be yourself. So she's fighting this inner thing. And you can tell because every time that somebody calls her out on, not being smart enough, not being serious enough, you see the look on her face when her dad tells her, you see the look on her face when Warner says it to her, like, you're not smart enough, sweetie. She's like, you see the turn that she is like, wait, I am smart enough even as I am. And that's where she kind of goes through this whole process of I'm this fashion merchandising major from California, sorority, head of my sorority, all these things to people telling her, this is not you. You're not good enough. You can't do this. Nobody has said it's not you. They've all said you're not smart enough. You're not serious enough. They're all things that she's like, no, I am serious about this. And I am good enough for this.
So how's she been hiding this 179 LSTAT fucking intellect from everyone she knows? She's obviously a genius.
Oh, because Des, that's what she was too busy writing.
Fashion majors are really smart.
She was too busy writing her thesis on the bend and snap. Bend and snap.
Oh my God. Katie, you've made me realize something that I did not realize until just this moment. This movie is Billy Madison. This is fucking Billy Madison.
Without the humor.
Without the humor and great writing and awesome story.
Oh, Jesus. Wow.
Okay. Keep rolling, Delyn.
Oh, are you sure?
I have to commend Katie on her defense of this movie, though. She's really bringing it. She's
doing a good job. You guys are killing her.
I'm the fashion major. I was this girl.
she's a defense attorney here, and she's trying to get this movie off murder charges. But I'm going to prosecute it well. Go.
Oh, gosh. All right. The murder trial involves a younger woman, Brooke Taylor Wyndham, who supposedly murdered her husband. It turns out that Brooke belonged to the same sorority as Elle, and she just can't believe that she's guilty. Sneaking over to see Brooke, Elle discovers the alibi that she has been refusing to give is that she was getting liposuction at the time, and it would ruin her reputation as a fitness instructor. She already lost her husband, who she genuinely loved, and she can't lose her reputation too. Brooke swears Elle to secrecy, and she promised to keep it. Back at the law firm, Callahan finds out that not only did Elle go to see Brooke, but also got her alibi and refuses to divulge it despite everyone in the room pressing her to do so, including Warner, who urges her to think about herself. Vivian is behind him when he says this, and it's clear she disagrees with him and is impressed by Elle's integrity. This is the start of a tentative truce and a small kernel of friendship between these two women. The murder's victim's first wife is in the spa in the Berkshires, and Callahan sends Elle and Emmett up to question her. Elle's gut tells her that she is lying about everything, but she can't prove anything yet. I know that you don't think that there's a place for this friendship, Des, between Elle and Vivian, but I don't know. I think I can see that there could be a friendship there if she sees something in her. And girl, let me tell you something. Girl code is you don't tell. And fucking she refuses to tell on Brooke. And Vivian respects that. And I respect that. You don't tell.
They're never going to be best friends.
Warner was the ass who was like, who cares about her? Just think about yourself.
Yeah.
Like, that's an ass move.
Shitty.
Sorry. Like,
yeah, shitty.
Warner's just a guy, man. He's not a villain. He's not a horrible person. He doesn't do anything to. He is a dumbass. No, he is a dumbass.
He literally said he had to have his dad call.
Yeah,
but he's not like a deplorable guy. He's not doing like, it's not like he was cheating on Elle with Vivian or vice versa. I mean, he's just a dumb kid with a lot of money. So this montage of Elle becoming the brightest law student at Harvard is fucking laughable in a bad way. And Tony, you hit on something. If they had actually played on satire here and made fun of themselves, this might have worked, and it probably still wouldn't have. But the fact that they think they're making a movie like Clueless and they're completely, no pun intended, clueless, that's the problem with this. I felt good for like 3 minutes when Paulette got her dog back because I love dogs. But then the movie takes this absurd left turn where the students will help on a murder trial. No, I think the stakes are a little high here for first-year law students to be helping on a murder trial. They'd be doing slip and falls and fender benders at best. And then this plot device that Brooke is willing to go to prison for life to hide the fact that she got liposuction is fucking beyond crazy. It makes zero sense. This script is bad. And don't get me started on the bend and snap thing. I mean, no, please, Tony.
That's where I almost checked out. I looked at him like, "Are you fucking
checked
kidding
out.
me? This is fucking." When did it turn to a Bollywood musical? Because that's not what this movie is. I hated it.
There's tons of moments when that happens, though, Tony, where I think it's going to break out into a musical, and maybe it should have, like Grease. Keep going.
It's just. Go ahead. Someone take it. I heard someone just go because I'm just going to do the same thing to get more and more angry.
I already went. It's time for Katie to go.
Defend.
Okay.
You can't.
You have Clueless. You have Legally Blonde. 1, 2, and 3. There are 3 of them.
Oh no!
If anybody knows.
Oh no!
I didn't know there was a 3.
Definitely didn't need to be 2 other ones, but you have House Bunny. You have, again, this was like the height of that like blonde bimbo early 2000s era. That's what these movies were. None of those movies were like made to be groundbreaking, but this one, out of all of them, at least, she has this like the drive in her, and like the bend and snap, we don't need the bend and snap there. That was like, I think that was literally just done for
super
like
cringy.
Yeah, like it's super cringy, but it also gives you how Paulette and the UPS guy get together, because she can't just break his nose on normal. She's got to bend and snap her head into his nose. I mean, how else is that going to happen?
Any other way. Any other way. It's a fucking nail salon. There were chemicals on the floor. He could have slipped in them. He could have tripped into her table. Anything would have been better than the fucking bend and snap 5 minutes.
How about we write, Tony, quickly, we write this. The guy starts sending her like love packages, flowers, things under another name, and they try to figure out who it is, and he finally says at the end, "It's me. I've been sending you all this romantic stuff." And then I care about this relationship. But nope, they're not going to write any of that. She's just going to touch her ass and knock him out. Oh, God, it's so bad. Keep going.
But I do want to also go back to the friendship between Elle and Vivian. Yes. They definitely, that had to happen for this movie. Like, that had to happen because Vivian had to see the asshole that was in front of her that she was engaged to. And Elle had to see that she wasn't a horrible person. She wasn't a completely terrible person. She just was. And the funny thing is Elle was never really mean to her. She never said the things that Vivian said to her. She never, she was never like a bully to her, whereas Vivian like was a bully to her and like obviously changed her tune until, she saw something she didn't.
Well, see, I actually
understand.
like that. I actually liked Vivian for that. That was when, that's when the movie actually took a turn and actually had some mature writing that the character can admit that they were wrong because the facts are blatantly in front of them, which something doesn't
Right.
happen in Hollywood that often. You have to be like literally beaten over the head with it over and over for it to stick. This one was like midway through the movie, she started to go, "Wow, I am really a dick. I really should stop this. Like she's not that bad," and I appreciated that.
But I submit to the court that it was Elle that was being the bully by showing up and being and forcing herself into Vivian's life where she didn't want her there. She was the bully. She drew first blood. She fired the first shots over the bow. She drew first blood.
First blood.
And I also want to say
movies.
what really, honestly, what did Marvin, what's his name?
What?
What's the boyfriend's name?
Warner.
Oh, Warner. What did Warner really do that was so bad to lose Vivian? For her to be like, I hate this guy. This is another writing hole in this movie.
He was an ass.
He should have got caught. He wasn't really an ass, though. He didn't do anything that I said, oh my God, what a prick.
Hold on.
Guy's a
Hold
creep.
on.
Oh, shit.
Because at the end, when she wins, he immediately apparently dumps Vivian and is like, you're the girl for me now that she won this big case. That's an asshole move.
Yeah.
But so late in the game of this movie, they haven't established this guy to be a creep. Like he's dateable. This guy's dateable by either one of them. And that's why they both like him. I feel like they gave Warner a bad rap. And I feel like the writer should have had him get caught cheating with a different girl. And then they could have bonded over that and been like, he's a total creep. Oh my God. For them, there's just not enough there. There's not enough substance there. Not working for me.
You guys do know this movie wasn't written for men, right? This was
clearly
total chick flick, right?
Which is why I hate fucking watch them. It's not dude flick, it's chick flick. I should be watching. I should be watching Aliens or something.
I love lots of chick flicks. Like I said, I've seen all these movies, and
I've seen more tears from him than you can count watching these movies.
Just like I said, this is a movie I should love. I should love this movie. Hugh Grant, 9.5 Weeks. I mean, you name it. I've watched it and I love it.
9.5 weeks.
9.5 weeks is not.
That was the BD. That was the bondage with Mickey Rourke and Kim Basinger.
What's the one? What's the one with Hugh Grant where
9 months?
And he gets
9 months.
9 months.
Big difference.
And I love it.
Pregnancy or food as a sexual weapon.
Now I've got to get rid of Fluffy, my cat. I mean, I love that movie.
Oh my God. I think that line happened in 9.5 weeks too.
Yeah.
Okay. Holy shit.
Oh, right. Jesus Christ. Okay.
Let's keep rolling.
All right. The trial begins and things do not look good for Brooke. Chutney Wyndham, the victim's daughter, claims to have found Brooke standing over her father covered in blood. The ex-wife parrots the same sentiment and the prosecution claims Brooke was having an affair with the pool cleaner. During a break in the trial, the pool man makes a comment about Elle's shoes and she theorizes that he's gay because that's not stereotypical at all.
No, not at all. It's fine.
Yeah.
And then they out him.
Emmett is also on the defense team of lawyers. He uses this hunch to trick the pool man into revealing that he's gay and couldn't have an affair with Brooke. Everyone's very impressed with Elle's intuition. That evening, after the day's trial has ended, Callahan asks Elle into his office and tells her how impressed he was with her abilities and wonders if she'd be interested in the intern program with his firm. She's thrilled by the offer until he makes a pass at her, which Vivian happens to see. She leaves in disgust, but not before Vivian makes a snide comment about what she was up to with Callahan. In the lobby, she runs into Emmett and tells him what happened. He urges her not to quit, but her mind is made up. She's quitting law and going back to California. All packed up and ready to go, she stops at the salon to say goodbye to Paulette, who has become a very good friend. She tells her everything that happened, not realizing that Professor Stromwell is close by having her hair done. She gives Elle a little push to not give up, saying that if she quits now, maybe she's not the strong woman she thought she was. I mean, I know I've been taking pot shots at this movie since we started talking about it, but I do love this part. It's, this strong woman professor that's like, don't give up. Don't let, what a man did to
And
you
also
stop.
blonde.
Yep.
She's also blonde.
And saying, let's not stop just because this one thing happened. Like, you need to get past it. And I appreciate that. I know, like, this is a lot of weak writing in here, but I liked this. As soon as the professor turned around in the chair, I was like, I got excited for a second.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem. We never saw them together in the movie, but 1 second. They never built this relationship up where she's being hard on her. Dude, this is like literally a junior high kid wrote this script. It's so obvious, right, Tony? Like, it doesn't take a lot to do it right.
There's 2 scenes of them being with her as the professor. The first one where she asks her to leave, and then the scene where there's a scene where that whole like montage happens of her like proving herself, trying to prove herself, and she seems very impressed with her in that one scene.
We needed a build up for this to work, a payoff.
Guys, it's an hour and a half movie. What do you
you know what? Writing. I want Barbie. I literally want Barbie. Barbie's writing was fucking genius.
Barbie's a different movie.
Is it really though? Because we had this discussion. It's a woman empowerment movie. A woman is not who she thought she was. She thought she was everything. She goes to reality. Reality hits her in the face. She's not what she thought she was. She has to prove herself by becoming different and showing herself by becoming herself. She grows into herself. That was the term we used. She grows into herself. There's no America Ferrera here giving this amazing speech. We had a lawyer saying, "Oh, you're not the one I thought you were going to be," and that's it. We're supposed to hinge this turning point of her becoming this amazing character lawyer on that one line. Fuck that.
Yeah.
It didn't happen.
To be fair, the people were not ready to hear America Ferrera's speech.
And again, I get that that's 15 years later. I do understand that because we said that too. It's a different time, but at the same time, the point is still made. It's the same understanding, different way of putting it, and not expounded on enough. It wasn't.
Katie,
go ahead.
Rebut this. Go.
Again, it goes to the time frame. There was no Me Too movement then. There was no, women were still, objectified over and over, which is why you have the Harvard law student boys, oogling at this girl from California, whatever, fresh meat over here. It was very on brand. It was very on point for the time period. It was very on point for how things were at that time. If you had made Barbie back then, it would have been banned by now. It never would have been the phenomenon that it is. This is what you had and Reese Witherspoon has said it in different roles that she's had. She said it in different speeches that she wanted to take on roles where women were stronger and women were there's more women empowerment, but I don't even want to say that for this because it's not really a women empowerment movie. It's just about this girl realizing it's almost like a coming of age, but not really. She's realizing that she can be serious. She can have a career. She can be a lawyer. She can do these things. All she has to do is believe in herself. It's not a, groundbreaking thing that never happens. It's just supposed to be a fun way to show be yourself. Because when she's acting the part of the lawyer, everything up until the point of her getting hit on, I feel she has this, she has the battle in the beginning of they're telling me I'm not serious enough. They're telling me I'm not smart enough. And then she kind of turns into what they want. And she's not showing herself and how she is. And she says it. She's like, no more pantyhose, no more suits, no more whatever. I'm done with this. I'm going back to California. All of the things that she thought they wanted from her, and she ends up winning her case, being herself and doing what she knows.
But there was the biggest flaw. I know we haven't gotten there yet, but the biggest flaw, when she gets a trial case that doesn't revolve around fucking shoes, a gay pool boy, she's in over her head. She doesn't have the knowledge behind her. She just has her own personal experiences. And if you're not someone who comes from a sorority, I'm not hiring her.
Dude.
Wait a second. I'd also like to just back up a little bit.
This whole movie is a cardboard cutout.
Hold on. I'd like to back up just a little bit and back up Katie, what she's saying, because we do a lot of movies from the 80s. And a lot of times things happen in those movies and we're like, oh, like, that do not now. Like, and we have to
Weird
remember,
science.
yeah, this is a couple of decades ago, like
Yeah.
we have to remember that this, I mean, like I said, it's Buffy the Vampire Slayer without the vampires. Like and if you go back and watch old Buffy, it's like fashions and shoes and my jacket and like, I love Buffy, do not get me wrong, but there's
But
a lot
that's
of that
not the
going on. And that's
problem with the movie.
why are you cutting me off? Why are you cutting me off? That's rude.
Sorry.
Man.
Sorry.
But my point being is that where we give that leeway and that little bit of grace to an 80s movie or even an early 90s movie, I feel like even though 2001 is way closer than the 80s, we should give it a little bit of that grace for that too, because at that time, this was, like Katie was saying, this was very on brand. So I just want to remind us of that. That's all.
But the problem with the movie isn't the brand. It isn't the time that it was made. It's not the inappropriate things that were deemed appropriate at that time. The problem with this is the bad script and the lack
agreed.
of storytelling and the lack of character development. That is the problem with this movie.
Yeah.
It's nothing else but just that. Bad writing.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I would like she said, it was only an hour and a half. You give me an hour 45, cut out the stupid friends from California and give me a little bit more of the people around her. Enid, David, Vivian, like these people were around her and they did nothing. So give us more of them,
She should have bonded with them in the jury rooms and then doing the research with them and showed her leading them towards their conclusions.
Well, they did do a scene like that. She did bond with Vivian when she came to get the deposition. She sat and Vivian made the efforts to sit down and kind of bond with her.
But the other
so she did.
That's what I'm saying.
And there was zero arc there to get them to that point. It went from I hate you to you're my best friend in like 2 scenes.
It went from I didn't like you, now we have to work together, to Warner saying what he said about forget about Brooke, think about yourself, and Vivian not liking it, to then that night or 2 days later, whenever, going in her room to get the deposition, seeing her dog Bruiser, and then having a little conversation and kind of breaking the ice a little bit. So it just wasn't like an arc. I mean, it was maybe like a little
a little speedboat.
But like you're saying, if you show us a scene boat. And maybe even like Professor Stromwell gets involved, right? Now that gives us more of her and more of her working with Elle and seeing how she is. Like you definitely could have cut some of the fat and added some good stuff,
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
Like there was that scene where Elle saves the nerd from the bad, I don't date guys like you girls like I don't. And so where was that through this whole movie? So I care about these friendships and these characters. Like it just wasn't enough, but it was like, that's what it was missing, were those moments.
I actually said that at the end of that scene. I'm like, I said it. That was my favorite scene of this movie so far. It's I love that she came to his rescue and made him look good. And then he's going to repay that by being her brain behind the scenes. And that's exactly what happened.
And for 1 second, I'm behind Elle. I'm like, she's being cool. She's doing good stuff. This feels like a real person. You're getting behind her, and it's not just this. Keep going.
All right. We're sliding into home, kids.
Woo-hoo.
All right. Emmett tells Brooke what happened, and she decides to fire Callahan. She hires Elle, who can practice law as a student, as long as there's an attorney present to guide her. Emmett takes on the job, and the trial resumes. After a bumpy start, Elle deduces that there was no way Chutney was washing her hair since she had just gotten a perm, and since her hair still looks good, she wasn't in the shower as she claims. She shot her father accidentally, thinking it was Brooke. Brooke is exonerated, and Chutney is arrested. 2 years later, it's time for the Harvard Law School graduation. Professor Stromwell introduces Elle, who's going to give the commencement speech. She's graduating with honors and has a job lined up with a prestigious firm. Vivian and Elle are now good friends. Warner graduates without honors and no job prospects. Emmett has opened his own firm that's doing well, and he and Elle have been dating for 2 years, and he's going to propose to her that night. It felt a little rushed at the end.
Yeah.
I mean,
100%.
You're right. And like I get it, it's an hour and a half. This is a popcorn movie. They wanted to hit and run it. They don't want to do 2 hours. I get it, but I don't know. It felt a little like, whoa, that's it. That's the end. Okay.
So this whole thing, when the thing starts going into court, this is like the movie really devolves just into something that's almost unwatchable. So in My Cousin Vinny, we get these smart court scenes with some integrity, you know. This is a fever dream sequence where Elle is a high-powered defense lawyer. She's been in law school for like 5 minutes. Okay. I just can't suspend my belief enough for any of this to work at all. The Harvard professor, he's always a step behind Elle. You know, she's withholding the alibi from him, and he's fine with that. He'd be like, tell me who it is now, or you're out of Harvard. Period. Nope. He's like, oh, well, hope she decides
Yeah, he
no,
wants to
it
get in
can't
the
work.
pants.
Oh no, come on. It's not that. No, this guy's like one of the richest, most powerful lawyers in Boston, and he's going to throw his fucking career down the toilet to get in Al's pants. There's plenty of panties to get into in Harvard. He's not going to flush his career down the toilet for that. The outing of the pool boy, ridiculous. And just when this movie couldn't get any weirder, Professor Callan hits on Ellie, and Brooke fires her high-powered legal team and puts her future in the hands of Ellie and her little heart notepad and fuzzy pen. I don't even know how we got here. Like the judge would be like, no, this is going to be a mistrial. This can't happen. You put your little pad away. You're not doing this. Oh God. And she's dressed like she was in California. And it's almost like when fucking Joe Pesci comes into court in that suit. It's crazy.
You didn't talk about the friends coming in. Go ahead, add that to it.
Oh, yeah, they're all there from California. You can take that when we get there. Yeah. So of course, she wins the trial. Mona Lisa Vito style, only with zero facts that would actually seal a case. Like, oh, your hair wouldn't be curly if you wet it the day after you got a perm. All she'd have to say is, yeah, I took the shower, I fucked it up, I busted out my curling iron this morning and curled my hair before I came to court. Listen, what else there, Columbo?
I have curly hair and I've used a curling iron. It doesn't work that way. No. That's not how it works. When you get a perm, you can't do it.
No.
And not for nothing, an innocent woman would have gone to jail if she didn't know that fact. Because none of those men had any idea what she was talking about.
This is not case clinching fact. This is not a positraction photograph on the picture. Like, no, that girl's hair, like you're telling, okay, our hair's curly today. She took a shower yesterday. You're free. Go walk out the door.
But she was trying to find her footing, and we've all been there where there's like, all right, we have to figure out something. We have to figure out what we're doing. We have to get to that point. And then that fact clicks in your head of, oh my gosh, wait a second. That's not correct. And then you have it and you see it click in her head and she goes for it. That she gets that confidence because she knows she's won her case. Just like she did in the school, in the classroom the day where she was like, when she was trying to justify the guy, right, reckless abandonment with the guy and not tracking his every sperm, whatever. Like,
I forgot about that. Oh my God, it was so bad when he jacks off. Is that like, no, that's not what it is, Elle. Go back to California. You're out of your element.
But she's not wrong.
She's not.
She's not wrong.
No, but you're absolutely right, though. They do set it up perfectly. You have that aha moment. You can see in her face that she knows she's won the case. The problem is the evidence is not fucking conclusive and clinching like that.
But she made her admit it. That was the thing. She made her admit it.
Yes,
that's what won it.
If the girl had said, "Fuck you," no,
she would have lost. Totally.
She would have lost.
Yeah.
So that means the evidence she presented was shit.
I also want to talk with the trial too. They out the guy on the stand and then he basically admits he's gay. The boyfriend runs off and everything. Nobody does anything about this guy lying under oath.
No, nothing.
And
nobody did anything about that.
There was no bisexuals back then either. There was like he couldn't.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, he could never have had sex with a woman because he's gay, and he's gay because he knew what kind of shoes she was wearing. Like, this is outer limit shit. You can't build a case around this. This is not, like, they tried to do My Cousin Vinny, but they didn't have a smart ending. They couldn't write it because the writing is bad.
I thought it wasn't a smart ending, but it was definitely like, again, on brand for the movie ending. She comes back, she says to the hell with it. The professor gives her the conference, says, "You're not the girl I thought you were if that's how you're going to do this." She comes back as her true self. She's wearing her signature color pink. She's got her blonde hair down, no pantyhose, in her heels with her puppy. And she walks in. She fires, like, Brooke fires the lawyer, and she sits down and she gets the job done. And she does what she went there to do as herself.
Now we know where Marsha Clark went wrong. She fucking didn't bring her puppy. No,
Damn.
I get what you're saying. And it's I don't know, man. I just no. The content wasn't there.
Movie. It's Legally Blonde.
That it is. That we can agree on. This is legal.
I don't even think you could name a movie Legally Blonde right now in this day and age.
Yeah, no, it would be outrage. There would be outrage.
It would be like, but the second and third one aren't much better. I wouldn't recommend it. So
okay.
So I felt like they did. What is the guy's name again? It's Warner. I felt like they did Warner dirty here at the end. You know, he graduated, but he had no prospects for jobs and no girls liked him. No, really.
He's an asshole.
He walked. Oh, he was not that bad. He was not that bad. And then, you know, she's gonna live happily ever after with her guy, and they're gonna open up a thing. And she was class Victorian, and she's cheering to her speech. Oh,
can you tell us if you didn't go to college?
What?
Valedictorian. Not
Valedictorian.
Victorian. She didn't win college.
I went to bad kid school, so. Okay. Anybody else have anything to say about Legally Blonde?
Oh God, no.
Okay. I think we had a lot of fun talking about it. That's all I can say. Okay. Let's recast it. And then we will go and do our alternate endings, which I have a fabulous one, like always.
Oh.
So I would recast Warner with Tom Brady, right?
Why?
Because he looks just like him. And Tom Brady's fucking... And then the character would be a little more likable. So that's what I got.
It depends on who you are. A lot of people do not like Tom Brady.
Or we could bring in Glenn Close and replace Reese Witherspoon.
I won't be ignored, Dan. That's all I can think the whole time.
Yeah, I won't be ignored. I'm coming to Boston. Dylan, what do you got?
I loved Luke Wilson in this, but I'm going to replace him with his brother. I'm putting Owen Wilson in there. Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, that nose doesn't work though.
No.
How did Owen Wilson just squeak by with that nose? That thing's a mess.
Oh.
Tony,
it's become his signature.
Just because he was huge in the time and he fell off the face of the earth, but he always plays these kind of characters. I'm going to replace the Wilson with Jeremy Sisko, if anyone remembers who he is.
I don't.
No one does. It's fucking terrible. He was in, if you saw the movie May, he was like the boyfriend. He plays like the spunky boyfriend who like picks up the girl and things. Like you'll see him and it's one of those like, oh, that guy. All right. I know. I fucked it up.
Look for him.
I'm not familiar with him.
It's all right.
Katie, recast this.
So I don't know that I would recast any of the main people, but the friend who looks like she's 45.
Yeah.
The one with the brown hair, like anybody other than her. Literally, I would recast her. Because Tony, I remember thinking that when I first saw it, like, wow, she just looks really old. Like, is she a sorority mother? Like, is she like the den mother? Like, what is this? Like, I don't understand. And then when we watched it the other day, I was like, wow, she does really look old in this. So I would recast her with anybody who was actually, because she looks like the mother of the blonde girl. Like,
are you talking about Vivian's friend?
No.
The two sorority girls. There's the blonde and the brunette.
Two sorority girls.
Oh, okay.
And she's like, I got bangs. Like, she acts like she's the one thing, like, well, there's a few things that are like weird, but like, she's the one weird thing for me in this movie where I'm like, why does she look so old? But again, that haircut was very on brand for that time. That hairstyle was very on brand, but she's also only non-blonde in the movie, and she acts like a complete idiot the entire time.
She does.
So it almost like flips it there. So, but I would recast her with anybody under the age of
I've seen that actress in other movies though, and she's usually very good. So again, it's
Yeah,
just,
and she's been in a lot of movies, but this one was not her shining moment.
And now it's time for the alternate endings.
As if we'd end the movie like that. Yeah.
Let's do the Scooby-Doo ending.
Good call.
I'll get it started. So at the end of the movie, Elle cuts Vivian's brake lines, causing a fatal car accident. Elle tries to defend herself in a murder trial, but is found guilty and serves a life sentence. That's what I got.
Sweet Jesus.
Thank you. Dylan, what do you got?
So my alternate ending is Elle gets into big trouble with the legal bar for her antics in the courtroom. And instead of being a celebrated student about to graduate law school, she's arrested for practicing without a license when Callahan, a very powerful and connected attorney, leans on his connections to make sure she can never succeed in law. She returns to California and starts her career in fashion like she should have just done all along.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I'm glad you put a little effort into it this week. Nice job, babe.
That was really good, actually.
Tony, rewrite the end of this thing.
I went a different direction. The whole thing, dude, Wizard of Oz, this whole thing is in her head. She's on trial for murder. She's the one who shot her boyfriend when he broke up with her. She's the one. Everybody in here, Callahan is her lawyer. Everybody in this are against her. They're witnesses. She's in her head is thinking, I'm a great lawyer, because she's watching her lawyer defend her. And she eventually goes to the electric chair, and because he couldn't defend her, because she actually killed her boyfriend. So this whole thing, at the end, you see everybody like, and you were there too, Scarecrow, and you were there, Tin Man. It's like all the people that were her friends in this are people who are testifying against her in her own murder trial.
I love this ending. And if you put this ending on the movie and put that Wes Craven movie music through the whole thing, this is a horror movie. Katie, you want to give us a happy ending to send this thing off into the sunset?
You guys really hated this movie.
Yeah, I like it.
And not for nothing, your endings are way too smart for this movie. Like, all three of those endings are way too, like, smart for this movie. Like, you got to keep it light. You got to keep it, you know what? She graduated, they show the engagement, and they live happily ever after, and that's it. That's the ending. Done. No more sequels. No Legally Blonde 2, Red, White, and Blonde. No, like, I think there's a third one. I don't know that I remember if there's a third one or not, but, like, you know.
Although, didn't Red, White, and Blonde give us that that gem from Paulette? You look like the 4th of July. You make me want a hot dog real bad.
You look like the 4th of July.
So basically, Katie's saying what I said about the Matrix. Don't make any more. Just let this be a one-off and just end. Yeah.
It's like, it was good for what it was. It was great for the time that it came out. It was fun for the time it came out. It obviously was a box office hit. You know, it was what it was. We don't need a remake. We don't need a
rewatch.
We didn't need sequels. We don't need a rewatch. It just was what it was. Yeah. It's one of those movies that, like, if it's on in the background while you're cleaning,
I'll turn the channel.
Oh god, yeah. This one will never be on again. So let's do some final thoughts and we'll score this thing. This movie, it's an absolute train wreck. The writing is remedial. The acting is remedial. The characters are remedial. It's just not good. My rewatch score is going to be the same as The Fifth Element, 0.05. Wow. This movie sucks. Avoid it. Yeah, wow. This is bad. Dylan, score it.
I don't hate it as much as you did. Are there things that could have been better? Absolutely. Like you said, the writing was thin. Some of the characters shouldn't have been there at all. Some of the characters should have had more. It didn't feel very smart, unfortunately, but it wasn't supposed to be smart. It was supposed to be kind of fun. So I'm going to give it a little under average. I'm going to give it a 2.35.
Tony.
As I said when it ended, I'm like, it's cinematic. It's cinematic Chinese food. I watched it. I enjoyed it while it was on. I need to go eat something else. I need to go watch something else to fill myself up because I'm hungry for something. Because this did not satisfy any craving I had. I didn't hate it. I enjoyed it while it was on. It was good. You know, I put some soy sauce on it. It was good. But no, not good. I will give it. I'll give it a straight even 2. I didn't hate it.
A 2.
I'll give it a 2. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. It made me chuckle a few times at some things. It made me rant, which I love ranting during movies. So it made me happy to do these things. So
I mean, literally yesterday, Clueless came on, and I just watched the whole thing like it was the first time I'd seen it. I've seen it 500,000 times. Every time. Yummy. Katie, so I leave it to you. The fate of Legally Blonde is in your hands. So go ahead.
Well, I'm the one that likes this movie, so you know it's going to be a pretty good. I think it's a classic. I think it's classic for the time, classic for all the reasons we said before. So I would probably have to go with a 3.79 on this.
I'm proud of you. You showed some restraint there. That's not easy to do when you love a movie. You could have come at that with a 5 easily. All right, Delyn, calculate the scores. Where does it land this?
All right. So the score comes out to 2.0475, and that puts it at number 75, which is right below Iron Eagle and right above Strange Days.
I feel like the last one we did was there too. That's weird.
Brain Scan, it's down at 79.
No. It's falling.
Brain Scan got so much play on YouTube. It was crazy. People were talking, people were writing in that we had fans talking to other fans, and like these, like it was crazy. It was like one of the most popular ones. But who would have known, right?
Not me.
Okay. Next week we will be back, and we will be discussing Silence of the Lambs with Tony and Mikki. Yeah. And we will be back in another week after that. Violent Vinyl, our sister podcast, where we will be breaking down Faster Pussycat's first album, Faster Pussycat.
Great album.
Tony, I think you need to bring Katie on to do a horror movie with us.
Yes.
So she can give you a couple of punches in the gut and shit on your movie. Katie, I wish you could have been on the fucking Strangers podcast, because I almost lost Tony that night. It was.
I made a mistake.
That was almost blows.
Night, right? That was the one that I decided.
That movie scared the shit out of me.
I decided to partake before we got on, and I couldn't even think straight. I was so angry. I would actually like a redo of that sometime down the line.
Dude, I would love to redo it because the audio was so bad on that one. And yeah, that and Jaws are 2 that we have to do again.
I would really like to redo Jaws because it's such a classic, and it just was bad audio because it was our second movie. So yeah.
All right.
The Strangers.
I'll come up with one.
I'd beat those kids up. All right. All right. So yeah, guys, talk about what you want to do again. Of course, Katie, you're welcome to come on anytime, any random movie. It's fun having you on. All right, guys, until next time, I just have one question for you. Hey, did you ever see that movie? See you next time.